Welcome to EDU World Space.
This problem is really an extension of the previous problem, and we want to know when the maximum distance between the origin and the collar, and then the speed at that distance. So what we can do is we just go back to our previous problem here, and what we wind up doing is we don't know R2 now. So R2 is this value, and it's also in here. So we need to set that as a variable now. And then we know at the maximum distance, the velocity Vr is going to be 0. So then this value becomes 0. So what we have now is we have two equations and two unknowns. But now the two unknowns are V theta 2 and R2. And so it's not a simple matter to solve for those, but what we can do is we can use our conservation of angular momentum to get V theta 2 in terms of R2, and plug that into here and get an equation in terms of R2, which again is not an easy equation to solve, but you can solve it with trial and error, as they suggest in the book. But what I did is I just used the computer to solve it, and what we see here is when we plot VR as a function of R. Okay, so we want VR2 to be 0, but we can let it be a variable, and we can plot what it is as a function of R and see when it goes to 0. So what we see is we get two values here. Well, this is VR as a function of R, and it's again it's 0 at 0.3 meters, as we'd expect, because we set it to be that. And then we can see we come back here and we get plus or minus, obviously, because VR is squared in the equations. And then we come back here and we get 0 here. And again, VR is imaginary out in these regions, so we're never going to get to those places. So we get this value of R here, and we can use either root finding or just keep zooming in and trying. So we know it's about 0.725. So in the end, it comes out to be 0.720 meters. And then once we have that, then we knew V theta in terms of R2. Again, I should put some 2's on these, I suppose. So we have, we can calculate this now, and that is 0.834 meters per second. Again, so slower than before, just because R2 is now bigger than R1. So angular momentum conservation of angular momentum gives us this. We know then that VR2 is 0, and so the total velocity of the collar is 0.834 meters per second.